Let's get it on, baby. It's a Wednesday edition of the slate. The final Wednesday edition of the slate, as this will be the final week in this show's long and historic history. Jeff Ulrich, this is something we started in the pandemic. It popped up to give us something to do around that 5 o'clock hour leading into the night slate of Madden games. And then it became the gorgeous golf gurus. It became you, me, and Reed Fowler, and sharing our passion and love, not just for each other, but for the game of golf. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to go out on a high note. You and me, a couple of the OG amigos, bro-migos, because we're talking about the Travelers Championship. No one knows where the hell Fryer is. He said it like 4:50 when the show typically starts around 5:15 that he's going for a workout, and I thought he was trolling me. And apparently he's not here. Producer Eamon hasn't showed up, but TP showed up for work. You showed up for work. I showed up for work. Let's go. How are you? It's damn good to see you. I really effing love you.
I'm doing good, man. This is, the center of the golf heart season. I mean, we gotta deal with this stuff. I mean, it's an elevated event. The Travelers. It's a lot to bet on. This guy's sitting down there like 6,000, 8,000 on DraftKings. We can bet. We can win a bunch of money. It's I'm here. I want to talk about this stuff, even if some people don't want to show up for work.
Yeah. Well, I know the magic that you and I bring together, and oh Lord, I see him popping in Zoom.
Oh, fantastic.
Do you see Fryer standing by?
We'll bring him in when we're ready.
Yeah. I mean, he says, "What in the world?" I'm so confused. This is him in Slack. TP, just let me know in Slack when we can bring him in. I'd rather start off with, again, two people who care about showing up to work on time, two people who care about the show and care about this company. Jeff Ulrich, we talked a lot about this tournament this morning on The Sweat, which starts on time, 11 o'clock Eastern time for the most part, every weekday morning. So the favorites are the usual suspects here, dude. Near the top of the board. Let's start on the betting side of things too. We really don't need to hit on DFS too much. Which are the heavy hitters here? Which of the heavy hitters do you like? These are some short odds that I know we're not typically too attracted to.
Yeah, especially in an event like this, right? It's not US Open setup. The tee to green games aren't. I mean, it's obviously when you have a tee to green game that's so good, like Scotty Scheffler or Rahm. I mean, it's good. You're going to be good every week, but this is more of a putting contest. Players here don't get too stressed off the tee. You can club down a lot. It's just not really a week where I'd be looking at the favorites. That was probably last week. The people who bet Scotty Scheffler came close, but they didn't get there. But I mean, chasing Scotty Scheffler at plus 650 every week, you're going to be in the negative very quickly if you do that. We're already 5 events in here, and he's been off at that price or lower on all those events. So if you've been betting Scotty Scheffler, this is basically your Waterloo this week. He either wins or you're in the red. So at plus 650, and really, like I said, you weren't even getting him a plus 650 at like the Byron. So I'm out there for betting. If I was going to bet one guy from the top, it would either be Cantlay or Rahm. I'd probably just bet Cantlay. But realistically, going to be starting the old card further down this week in the Colin Morikawa range.
I was so effing annoyed at Cantlay in his final round as we bring in Nick Fryer, who also annoys me when he shows up late. What I love you. I'd love to give you a lot of crap. Like, where the hell have you been?
Dude, when do we ever start before 5:30? Like,
bro, you're always here early as hell.
I usually am here early, but I also didn't get pinged. I had something that popped up last second, and I was like, "Oh, I have time, so I'm fine." Like, we don't start till 5:30 anyways. It's no big deal. No one even pings me.
Or did you really go get a workout in?
No, something actually popped up. I was making fun of you because you stupid bike workouts.
I lifted weights today, guy.
I
will take my sweatshirt off right now.
Once in a blue moon. No, you will not. Dude,
want me to?
Okay.
I'm just saying you won't do it. I'm not saying whether or not I want you to. Just want everybody to know on the record.
I mean, like, all right. Do I get in trouble if I take my shirt off, Jeff? What do you think?
Yes.
It's not. I don't have.
No,
you
yeah.
think
The
I do?
answer is yes.
Yeah, I don't want that on my
Okay.
conscience.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't
trying
have.
to goad
Okay.
you.
I mean,
He's
guys
trying
can
to
be
goad
shirtless.
Yeah, behind the scenes, I think we're getting in our ear. Don't do it.
Much like Biff
Hold on
Tannen
a second.
goaded Marty McFly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in Back to the
Nips
Future.
are not Twitch approved, sadly.
Well,
Okay.
there you go.
No, well, I mean, like,
I have picks though.
All right. Well, I'm looking
sad.
forward to. No, yeah, we were a little emotional off the top. Jeff and I talked about it. What are you gonna miss the most? Because it's the last time we're all together.
I guess getting better at making golf picks, because I only did it because you two schmucks peer pressured me into this. So I guess that this train's going to end real quick.
You can still bet golf, Fryer. You can still do that. You don't need the show to make you become a good golf bettor. But I've enjoyed your picks. I've enjoyed having you here. I've enjoyed having a fresh mix, a guy who's not used to betting the golf and trying to make a go of it. And you made a very solid go of it, I should say. So I've enjoyed it.
And I know we joke. I agree with Jeff. And I know we joke around, like call it like fade Fryer, because that was kind of the joke at first. Because I mean, here's the thing. betting, and you understand like the numbers, you understand the trends, your brain is a calculator, Fryer. Like, I'm giving you credit. Like, you know a lot of other sports, you bet a lot of other sports. So really,
you're basically Goodwill Hunting.
Yes,
Listen,
you are
very kind of you
Matt
guys.
Damon. You're an effing genius. And that's why I think your picks have started to improve. So hook us up with your first one this week, Travelers, which I will be at on Saturday with Howie. It's going to be raining on and off. I don't care. I'm going to be wearing a white shirt, and I can't get in trouble when you see my nipples through my white shirt on Saturday.
Well, first of all, appreciate the kind words. Second, part of the reason that I've been able to have some like decent picks, ones that were close. Obviously, Rory, we talked about it last week where I wanted you guys to walk me off the ledge. Obviously, he came up short, but I did cash that on Saturday because I did not have any confidence, and he was plus 450, going into the weekend or something to that. Or no, it was bet like 100 to win 450, something like that. I don't know. But anyways, either way, I cashed that. It was a pretty nice payout for him leading after 3 rounds, because again, didn't trust him to come through in the end, which he didn't. But the big reason I'm able to get there is by and large because of Jeff's cheat sheet, because he gives a lot of winning trends. On top of his picks, he helps you make your own picks as well if you don't want to just tail him completely, as much as it usually does work out pretty well for you guys. So a few of the things that stood out from among the winning trends that Jeff had were 8 of the last 9 winners at least had a tied 31st or better at this tournament prior to winning. You look at the last 5 times that this event was played after the U.S. Open, the player who participated played in the U.S. Open the tournament before. And on top of that, the last 3 seasons, and I actually found this one before reading Jeff's notes. I started kind of looking into it myself. T14 or better for the last 3 winners of the Travelers going into at T14 or better at the U.S. Open. So I'm going to start things off, as if that wasn't long-winded enough, with Russell Henley to get into the top 20 at plus 150. I know he's done it before. He did it 2 years ago, I believe. Coming in with good form, obviously T14 last weekend, -2 in the final day of the U.S. Open. And there were, when I was looking at that final day, as I was going through my picks, all my picks at least were T14 or better in the U.S. Open. But kind of obviously there were some players who aren't going to be in this tournament, certain guys who I kind of don't trust based on what they did on Sunday. But Henley is one of those guys who had a solid day. I think if I'm going to pick a dark horse candidate to win, it will be Henley. Another reason too that I want to go with him, he's 39th in strokes gained on approach, which I know is not elite, but he just had a huge weekend, vaulted up that leaderboard. So Russell Henley, top 20 market.
I actually expected you to bring him up this morning, Jeff, because I've seen his name in a lot of articles, and you've mentioned like the putting here and how crucial it is, and someone who can get hot with the putter very quickly. You expect somebody, if that's the case, to make a run, and his putter has actually been showing some flashes of heating up lately as well, and he's above the field average in 6 of his last 7.
He's second in strokes gained approach at the U.S. Open. Henley's built for this course. He went off in the final group. I think it was in 2019 or something. He's played well here before. He's been in the mix before. He probably should have won this a couple times, to be honest. This is a wedge fest, and he's probably top 3 in terms of short iron players in the world. He's gained multiple strokes each of his last 3 starts. There's nothing wrong. The only reason I didn't bring him up, it's really just comes down to the price. I bet him earlier in the week at plus 5,500. He's down to 3,500 on DraftKings. So it's really a value call. You can get the Tommy Fleetwood there plus 3,500. I like both guys. I think Fryer's top 20 call is fine. If Henley plays anything like he did last week, the top 20 here will come. It's just way better setup for him. Like I said, short par 4s. He's going to have wedges on almost every hole. It's just Russ just attacks pins when he's got the wedges and he's playing like this. So just, going to be popular for DFS as well. But I mean, you can get exposure to the top 20 market. You could sprinkle a little outright. It's plus 3,500. It's not like he's plus 350, right? Like it's still, if he wins a plus 3,500, it's still a pretty good week. So fine with that call for sure.
I mean, look at that. Look at guys on the screen currently right now. Like Jason Day's a guy who's had a successful past here, but then I'm looking at the 2 above him plus 4,500. So Max Homa, completely disappointing there on essentially like his home course, right? At the US Open, I think a course at LA Country Club, a course that he's set the record of 61 at. And then there's Ricky Fowler, who was America's sweetheart through Sunday, even though he was struggling in the final round of the US Open. Thoughts on either one of them, Jeff, and backing them in any market?
I just can't get there with Ricky this week. It's just so much disappointment from being in contention for 4 straight days. I would say that, Poa Green's probably the last spot I think to really be trying to back him. Not that it's that big a deal. But when you're trying to nitpick, I mean, there's certainly a couple different factors with Ricky, the course, the setup. I just feel like it's going to be emotionally too much for him to get up this week as I lose my voice. So verklempt about Ricky Fowler. But
damn, dude.
Yeah, I can't get there. Max Homa is actually interesting. This is a pretty solid number, to be honest. And, Max Homa is a really good POA putter. Has obviously won on the West Coast, the Farmers Riviera. Coming off the miscut, he's cooled down a bit, but it really wouldn't be that shocking for me to see him just bounce back in a big way this week. If I'm targeting this range, I really don't hate the Max Homa outright. I think that I would probably prefer him over most of them. I think Sung Jae is interesting, but I'm taking personally in this range. I'm taking a shot with Cameron Young. Cameron Young finally gained strokes putting last week. Cameron Young is still beasting it off the tee, and everyone used to bet this guy plus 2,000, plus 3,000. I mean, he has eaten up some West Coast courses and some shorter courses before too. I just think this is a solid number to take a shot with. Cameron Young's another player too. I'll say this. He should be really motivated by watching Wyndham Clark last week. He was mopping the floor with Wyndham Clark last year. He was a far superior player. And now he's seen Wyndham Clark win twice in 2 months. I think Cameron Young, probably a little bit motivated this week, if I had to guess. Plus 5,000, worth taking a shot with.
Nick Fryer, your second bet. What do you got, homie?
So all 3 of the guys that I'm going with, as I mentioned before, and I'm not going with an outright winner because I feel like Scheffler's going to be the one who wins it this weekend. And look, you can go and play it. That's fine. But I know you guys already talked about it a little bit. Obviously, he's the favorite right now. Not ideal to play that. But all the players that I have also is pretty much right around even money in these markets outside of the top 10. I'm going to jump out to the top 40 now, plus 105. So the closest to even money that I'm going to get here. Again, all the guys at least T14 at the US Open. Austin, am I saying this right, Jeff? Eckroat?
Yes,
okay.
Austin Eckroat.
Now, a couple years ago, again, citing the 2021 Travelers, he was tied 47th. So obviously not ideal, but what you want the trend that Jeff had talked about in his cheat sheet was how the top performers, last 8 winners of this tournament played in the U.S. Open before playing in the Travelers and then going out and winning. Eckroat did not play in the U.S. Open before the Travelers in 2021, and he still finished tied for 47th. So I'm looking at that. Obviously, it's not a direct translation of the trend, but I'm thinking, okay, he's coming in with good form, played in the last tournament. We've seen what he can do, and when he's not, not having that form coming in, I would think right now he can at least get into the top 40. Being ultra conservative here with this one, obviously he popped off a little bit more than Henley in the final day of the U.S. Open, but that's kind of why I want to play it a little more conservative here, where Henley was a little more consistent to finish into the top 14. He was top 10 or tied for 10th at the U.S. Open, and also with Eckroat too, strokes gained on approach. Again, I know this is an important stat for this week. He's like 86th in this category. I know he did well this past weekend, but a little bit too high for me to feel comfortable to go top 30 or even top 20 with him. But I feel very comfortable at right around even money for Eckroat to finish in the top 40.
Yeah, no, Eckroat's been beasting it just tee to green. I mean, his approach game is phenomenal right now. Rode it to the top 10 last week, the T10. I think it's for a top 40. I mean, again, you look at this market, everyone else around him has kind of been, up and down. Like sometimes the putter shows up for Matt Kuchar. Sometimes Gary Woodland isn't a disaster on the greens, but Eckroat's been the most consistent play. Plus 105 is probably fine. Do
you think it's too conservative? Because I definitely play more conservatively for obvious reasons.
I think it's okay to be conservative with Eckroat this week. I know some people are backing him, but again, this is a veterans course. It's a tricky little par 70. He could certainly get hiccups on the green. And I think, top 40, he can still get a top 40 without putting well. Like he's hitting the ball that well. So again, I'm not betting him outright for the simple reason, he hasn't seen this course. It's a veterans course. I think the top 40 market's actually a good place to bet him. Some other names I just bring up, Christian Bizet, now it's a plus 150 for the top 40. Ooh. I don't know why he's all the way down here, but he's been very consistent of late, and he is a good putter. So
what's Brian Harman at? What's Brian Harman at?
Brian Harman's at minus 125. So
okay, all right.
Brian Harman's fine. Like I think Brian Harman has a better chance to win than Austin Eckroat.
Yeah,
if you're going to bet Brian Harman, I would just take an outright or like a top 5. But for the top 40 market, I think there's a few better options just at those prices.
Because I know Len said this morning, like Harman has been playing fantastic golf, but he did gain 4 strokes on approach last week, which helped him make the cut. But now,
he did first round,
yeah. Now he's heading to a comfortable venue, and he's got 4 top 10 finishes here over the last 5 years, and another dude who this course suits his game and the lack of driving distance, needed.
Yeah, he's like a mini version of Russell Henley. He doesn't hit his wedges as good, but he's a better putter than Henley, so kind of evens out. They've both won multiple times on the PGA Tour. Harman for DraftKings on the DK Sportsbook. What's he sitting at? We didn't even check his outright odds, did we?
No,
the plus 7,000, plus 550 for a top 10.
Yeah, I got him at like plus 8,000.
He's finished top 10 at this event for the past 5 seasons. I mean, it's really not bad odds. This is an elevated field. That's the only thing I'd say. I think I was betting Brian Harman, I'd probably start at the top 20 market, but sprinkling a little outright isn't a terrible idea. I mean, JT Poston finished second last year at this event. It's same kind of player as Brian Harman.
So Harman's at plus 7,000. Your guy, I believe, to win this morning, Adam Scott.
I like Adam Scott a lot.
Adam Scott at plus 8,000. I think
this is a big overreaction. This is bigger than his number was last week to win the U.S. Open. Adam Scott's far more likely this week. Everyone thinks, it's Adam Scott. Oh, he's a major, but like you look at he finished second at the Wyndham a couple years ago. He was top 10 at the Byron Nelson, an easy course. His putter is really, really good right now. He's putted well on Poa greens. He's rested after not playing the weekend. He's flying a private jet over here. He's got his buddy Minwoo Lee beside him. I think Adam Scott is a player who has seen Jason Day win, has seen Justin Rose win, and they both won on like easier tracks like the Travelers. I just think this price is an overreaction. I'd much rather bet Adam Scott at 8,000 than Shane Lowry at plus 5,500, who can't putt to save his life. Jason Day
happened to him, bro? He like disappeared.
Who?
Shane Lowry.
Yeah, he just finishes like between T60 and T20 every week. I mean, he's making cuts, but again, we're talking, you got to get to like 19 under this week. You got to sink your pots. Adam Scott could do that. He could go and shoot 62. So I just think it's a very good number. I like him this week.
Fryer, you got anything else? Are you on mute?
You're muted.
You're muted, bro.
I am on mute because I was celebrating the Astros coming through in that nightmare of a game, 10-8. It was pretty pumped about that. But anyway, sorry.
No, it's fine. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. But the last play that I have for you guys, actually, it's weird Jeff just brought him up, but I know you mentioned him in some capacity. I forget to what extent in your cheat sheet, but Min-Woo Lee, he's going to be a top 30 market play for me. He's plus 160. Has not played in this tournament from what I could see, Jeff. Correct me if I'm wrong, Min-Woo Lee.
Yeah, no, it's first time. Yeah.
Okay, so this one's a little more aggressive than the other plays, but obviously coming in off, tied for fifth finish, U.S. Open -3 on the final day. So again, I like him and Henley a little bit more on their recent form just because they're a little more consistent versus Ekro, who really popped off on the last day, which I may be a little more concerned about. Like, can't rely on quite as much despite the form previously. The other thing, though, with Lee, where again, this is like, I'm trusting his form a little bit more. And again, feel like I'm playing conservative with the top 30 market, but it feels like the right play because strokes gained on approach. I was checking the rankings for that, and I didn't see his name anywhere. Maybe he hasn't played enough to qualify for that, but he's like minus 0.37. So I know that he's worse than Henley and Ekro in that category. But again, looking at what you were talking about, Jeff, with the you had to be at least tied for 14th or better to win last in the U.S. Open going into the Travelers. I took that and thought, okay, if we play it conservatively, most of these guys should still be performing, to the level, to the categories that we're putting them in, not even trying to go for them winning.
Dude, Jeff, before you answer that, like I love the Min-Woo Lee pick this week. And for this guy is just continuing to show like composure and skill beyond his years. And in like some of the biggest tournaments, Jeff, like this, another impressive performance by him in a major championship. And to me, the dude he possesses like the temperament, right, and ability to thrive in high pressure situations. So if he can hang around and if he could be up towards the top of that leaderboard on Saturday, Sunday, this could be a breakthrough victory for him.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Min-Woo Lee is a really up and down player, but his upside is through the roof. He's won the Scottish Open. He's a good links player. I mean, he's won it in Australia. It's really high end. I don't think this setup is exactly where you want to target him because it's just a tricky course. His power off the tee isn't going to be great. His approach game is definitely the weakest part of his game right now. At the same time, I mean, this guy went head to head with Scheffler at the Players. His putter can get red hot. Mm-hmm. So like huge variety of outcomes with Min-Woo Lee this week. I would not shock me if he missed the cut. It also wouldn't shock me if he won this event. Like, there's not many players I can legitimately say that about, where I could say, okay, Min-Woo Lee finishes 80th here after big US Open. Sure. Not a consistent iron player, but also like he could just gain 10 strokes putting and win. I can see that. So I'm not a player I have exposure to, but certainly like, if you're betting him, I would almost just say like go top 10 or nothing. I mean, either his putter's going to show up or he's going to finish like miss the cut or like finish T50th. So yeah, if his putter shows up, he could definitely get wild quick, but great player. Also someone to think about for the Open Championship. He is a good links player. Yeah. He's played links golf a lot. Really may have a chance there at Hoy Lake in a few weeks.
I mean, his off the tee numbers at the U.S. Open were impressive.
Which, it's a big. He can putt. Yeah. He's got a lot of the tools that Wyndham Clark does. He's got to improve his iron game a little bit.
Yeah. And those off the tee numbers, I think you alluded to it earlier, are a great way to kind of separate yourself here at TPC River Highlands. Fryer?
Yeah.
I just want you to know that I think you've been doing a great job today.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I got no more golf picks for you though.
No, that's fine. Because I do want to ask you about the Porzingis stuff before Jeff, before we close it out and I get some quick thoughts on the trade here that the Celtics are making from Fryer. Do you have anything else you would like to add? Any other picks that you would like to toss out for the Travelers?
No, I mean, I think I mentioned Colin Morikawa.
Yeah.
Steven Yager. you might want to throw a couple bucks on Christian Bezuidenhout. He's at like plus 20,000 now. But those are the main guys I'm targeting. Adam Scott, obviously, I really like the price on him. And Fryer gave out some good placing bets. I agree with. Mark Hubbard's another guy you could look to top 40, but certainly, those are the players I'm targeting. Starting with Morikawa, going down a little bit, and I may throw a little bit of money on Tommy Fleetwood at some point. So,
dude, I know you have, and you know what, bud, I think it's just been you hammering home on him the past few weeks, us giving you crap for it, but also seeing him deliver in the results department in almost every department minus a victory.
Yeah,
I have a feeling this could be it with yours truly in attendance and a drunk Howard Sparks there as well.
I personally don't think Fleetwood's going to win this week, but at the same time, if you're getting him at plus 3,500, plus 4,000, it's basically double his odds at the Canadian Open. It's really not a horrible bet to sprinkle a little bit on. So we'll see what happens.
Fryer, basketball guy, it's going to be great. And I hope you answer when we try to FaceTime you on Saturday. Okay.
I will. No, I will.
Please. All right.
I'll be at my kid's soccer game, but I'll answer.
My man, dude. I love that about you, bro. You're my favorite dad. Celtics, Clippers, Wizards reportedly on the verge of this blockbuster deal. I don't know if it's gone final yet. It's been the talk of like Twitter all day long here, Fryer. So highlights of the proposed trade include Porzingis going to the Celtics, Marcus Morris in the number 30 pick in tomorrow night's draft going to Washington, Malcolm Brogdon joining the Clippers. All right, dude, who's the big winner here?
I mean, I feel like the Clippers are the big. No, the Clippers are. What am I saying? The Clippers are absolutely the biggest winner here because like unloading Marcus Morris in this situation is like he's like Marcus Morris is a solid player. Don't get me wrong, but he's not as good as he thinks he is. Certainly not anymore. Like I feel like he believes the way he goes about his business and everything, he should be like a number 3 on a team, but he's like a number 5, ideally a number 6, like your 6th man off the bench. But so getting rid of him and then turning that into Malcolm Brogdon, that's huge. Again, like you have issues of needing guys to stay healthy with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George and whatever. But either way, to throw him into the mix now and have him already have that experience of coming off a bench, obviously just being 6th man of the year this past season, that's huge for them. I think it's a great addition. Obviously, it only means so much if you don't have a healthy Kawhi and Paul George, but from a personnel standpoint, this is one of the better moves that they've made since acquiring Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, quite honestly. I know it hasn't been that long. And then for the Celtics side of this, it's an interesting move. Like, I don't think it's a bad move. But I'm not going to go in spin zone it like Jeff Pratt will on Twitter. I do think that's been a little bit egregious. Yeah, I know.
I've been going back and forth with him a little bit through text because he's just annoying the hell out of me. He texted me a few hours ago and said, I've got something huge for you. I just can't have you tweeting out anything about it. And so, well, what are we talking about here? And he says, I think Porzingis is going to be bound for the Celtics soon through a blockbuster trade. And I'm like, bro, this has been talked about on Twitter already from the biggest reporters on planet Earth. Like, what are you talking about? And I don't know. I think he may be under the influence of something. He's just acting like super, super weird. And I told him, and to quote myself, I no longer support you.
Well, you're going to have to see him on the Sweat tomorrow. So I'm very excited to see how this all shakes out.
Oh God, this guy.
Fire, how do you think Porzingis and Tatum are going to get along? Like, is this going to work? Is Porzingis just going to be like,
he's fine. I don't think it's a bad move. Like, I don't think the addition of Kristaps Porzingis to the Celtics is bad. I think getting rid of Malcolm Brogdon is bad because he was, and I understand like you kind of needed to do that to get this deal done. You can't just go and, get this. I know the way they got Malcolm Brogdon was ridiculous. They basically gave away nothing. You can't do that twice. But at the same time, Brogdon, Porzingis both have the same problem. They both are very much injury prone. Brogdon, I know the stuff that popped up in the postseason, not his normal thing, because it's more been a foot issue. Porzingis, strong gust of wind might blow him in the wrong direction. So I don't know what that's going to turn into, but I do think, like, I understand that, okay, let's add a big. who can go and play the interior, who can also score. So he's basically much more versatile big man than Rob Williams is. As much as I like him, now you add that to the mix. You add Rob Williams. You can have Porzingis, Tatum, and Brown on the floor at the same time. Whereas with Brogdon, he was a little bit more hamstrung because he plays a similar position to those two.
And all I'm saying from people who know a lot more about the NBA and basketball and Kristaps Porzingis, a lot of people who know about it more than I do are just talking about the combination of his size and shooting and his defense is kind of well worth the price that the Celtics are paying for.
Yeah, I like him. It's
good.
just I think it's I pretty much agree with what Nick said. I just think that Brogdon was maybe a little more valuable than people think to the Celtics. But
six made the year, except he was a wet fart in the playoffs. But
he got hurt,
like an injury
for sure.
I said he got injured.
Yeah, Porzingis is elite though. I mean, you got to take your shots. You can't fault a team. I don't think you can fault the Celtics for this.
Yeah, it's elite when he's on the floor. He's elite when he's on the floor.
When he's not dead. Yes.
Yeah, same thing about everyone's talking about Bradley Beal to Phoenix and how great KD and Booker and Beal are going to be together and if healthy. Those three are going to play 10 games together.
Yeah, I can't wait for them to disappoint everybody. I don't know if they're favorites on DraftKings Sportsbook, but I am fading that so hard. Get out of my face.
Okay, so you're on the show tomorrow then talking about basketball? All right, awesome. I look forward to that. Be on time, my guys. That's it. So final Wednesday edition of the slate. Jeff, are you on the show tomorrow?
I don't think so.
Okay, good stuff. Well, I love you guys. Thanks for being my best friends from 5 o'clock-ish to 6 every Wednesday. And thank you, TP and Amen and everybody. Godspeed. We'll see you tomorrow morning, 11 o'clock Eastern time.
2 more slates
I
to
love
go.
you.